46,000. This is the reported number of children who have taken their own lives in the past 1 year. And even more shocking is the fact that the age group that they belong is between 10 years to 19 years. This made me think, Jay, what was I doing when I was in that age bracket? 10 বছর, 12 বছর, 13, and goes on. And all I could think was that my only worry was আমি কখন স্কুল থেকে আসবো and I'll go out and play. Next day, I would want to be a cricketer. The following day, I would want to be pilot, an army officer, a doctor, and the list goes on. ওই age bracket, the only thing I had were dreams. স্বপ্ন দেখতাম. So when I went through this article published by UNICEF, I'm like, these kids, these children, these teens, why did they stop dreaming? Right? What happened to them that they had to take their own lives? This article made me feel like I'm so helpless and I can't do anything about it. And to dissect this topic and talk about this topic, I have someone in the studio which I think personally that emanates those raw human qualities that are needed to tackle such a blazing issue. We need empathy, and he has empathy, kindness, and the quality to listen effectively. I'm proud to present a person who I humbly feel clearly possess all such human qualities. Asif Bhai, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Asif bhai. Thank you for this. And what an important topic to talk about. And I'm very happy that we are discussing this because কথা না বললে আসলে জিনিসটা it's not going to solve, basically. So we need to talk about this. Very quickly, first of all, I want to disclaimer there. So basically, it's the topic that we decided to talk about, and that's about suicide and suicide among teens, so which is a very complicated issue. But I'm not a mental health expert under any circumstances. But I do feel like talking about this topic because I'm also a social scientist in the sense that I do a lot of social science research, particularly around teen and parenthood and children. So I do have my own undertaking. So that's my reason that I'm here today. But again, I'm saying that I'm not a mental health professional, certified or certain anything like that. Professionally, I'm a assistant professor at the University of Liberal Arts Bangladesh. I'm the director of the MBA program. But more importantly, my career starts from international development. So I've been in international development for like almost how many years? 18, 20 years before I moved into academia. But while I was in international development, I've seen these issues. My specialization was on economic empowerment, but I've seen these issues many times. So yeah, so I'm an international development expert turned into an academia. And then I do have my social science research, and of course I manage the Edward M. Kennedy Center, which is an American center at this point of time as an acting director. So that's kind of my professional background. But yeah, so saying that because I was in a war zone for many times and others. So that's I think what I'm actually basically kind of shared my experience and everything. Yeah.
And I think that makes you the perfect person to talk about this. And as you have just before throwing this, we're going into I've spoken about this article and about this issue to a lot of my friends, and everybody, the first question, and that's where we'll going jump into is, সবাই's like reason কি আমাকে reasonটা দাও. And I want to start there. What, in your opinion, because you have this career in NGOs and have done so much, let's talk about three reasons, main three, maybe there are more. তিনটা reason কি নিয়ে আমরা কথা বলতে পারি?
It is a very complex issue, as well. It is a very complex issue, and probably generalizing the reason would be a mistake here.
Okay.
I think আমি সবসময় যেটা চিন্তা করি, মানে when I read this article too, and then if you remember that, and I told you that for 2-3 nights I wanted to get into that mind of 10-year-old boy, particularly because I didn't want to get into a 10-year-old girl's mind because one of the things is basically I didn't think that I could do a justice to that. But I was thinking about what goes on in his mind before he decides to take away his life, because all we see at the end of the day is a dead body lying somewhere or hanging from the ceiling. But what went on before his that thing? And then I start kind of digging deep. There are symptoms, there are indications, but reasons. There are a big economic reason, which I think probably a list of the reasons, because আপনি যদি দেখেন এই 46,000 এর মধ্যে যদি আপনি income distribution দেখেন, a majority of those, or quite a big of those, are actually from I would say not well-off families, but families who could like have 5 meals, 3 meals a day, proper water supply and everything. So economy was not a big issue. So one is, of course, economic issue. Second is, I think what we found is social, very big social issue. And when I say social, it's basically, as I was talking to you, the abuse at home and abuse at outside of home, the power structure, and the overall, the way the whole power structure works on a child, and their inability to ask questions, তাদের প্রশ্ন যে করতে দেওয়া হয় না, এবং এই যে মানে বিভিন্ন রকম অ্যাবিউজ হয় যে ঘরের ভিতরে এবং ঘরের বাইরে, এটা একটা বড় রিজন। অ্যান্ড থার্ড যেটা দেখা যাচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে যে দেয়ার ইনএবিলিটি টু কোপ আপ উইথ ফেলিয়ার, মানে তাদের যে এক একটা ইনসিডেন্ট হয় লাইফে যেগুলো তো আমাদের সময় ওয়াজ ভেরি নর্মাল, কিন্তু some reason they're not being, is it because of the social pressure, the expansion of social media and everything, they're not being able to cope up with failure. So the three reasons that we see, of course the economic, second social, where they're not being able to ask questions, and they feel তাদের আরেকটা জিনিস, inability to change certain things, এই যে conflict within families and other issues, তাদের যে একটা যে I'm not being able to do anything about it, that creates a lot of problem, and the abuse that they face at home, and third is basically, of course, their inability to cope up with failure.
Okay.
That's broad three.
Right. Economic maybe আমরা বুঝলাম, because it depends. তিন বেলা অ্যাকচুয়ালি যদি মানুষ একটা খাবার না পায়, or at least দুই বেলা যদি খাবার না পায়, that is a crisis, and poverty is related with that. I want to go more into the social, and you talked about abuse outside and inside of the house. Inside, I'm not sure. Outside, what kind of abuse are we talking about?
I mean, but before, if I may,
Yeah, sure, please.
Economicটা আমি একটু ফোকাস করতে চাই এই কারণে, because economy is an issue. কিন্তু I would like to give this message to the young children here, if they're watching, and the teenagers, and I think the parents need to tell their children that they need to practice gratitude. মানে আপনি ইকোনমি আসলে ফিনান্সিয়াল ওয়েলবিং এ তো আসলে কোনো শেষ নাই। এখন I have seen people who have one meal a day, or not even a day, when I was in বাংলাদেশ এক সময় ছিল, কিন্তু I tell my when I tell my students, one of the things that I tell them, if you have 3 meals a day, if you have clean water supply, if you have electricity supply, if you have a roof over your head, and if you're like kind of have medical service, accessible basic medical service, you are 5% of the world's total population. So if you're member of that 5%, if you have these 5 indicators, world মতো 5% লোকের এই 5টা facility আছে.
So you belong to an elite class.
Just because you have 3 meals a day, you have clean water supply, you have electricity
5%.
supply, 5%. And it was shared by Paul Polman the other day, Unilever CEO, and that made me think so deeply about this, that like when we talk about economic crisis, what kind of economic crisis that are we talking about? So it means যে আসলে আমরা মানে আমাদের যে আছে এটা we are not kind of training our children to be grateful about.
At least you have those.
You have those. So I tell my children often that, look, just because what you have here. So আমাদের যেটা ছেলেমেয়েরা, the socio-economic group that we belong to. So can you imagine what sort of percentage that they would be? So the only 5% people have these 5 consistent things: basic medical service, clean water, electricity, education, and a roof over your head. And
It's a shocking statistics. I didn't know
no,
about this.
3 meals a day, and Paul Polman said it in a meeting very clearly that that's it. So that's what you're looking at. So ওই জন্যই বললাম যে ইকোনমিক ক্রাইসিসটা, yes, it is a reason, but then uh, there are genuine causes of that. কিন্তু আমি ঠিক জানি না যে how much যারা ইকোনমিক ক্রাইসিসের মধ্যে আছে, how many people are actually committing suicides is a social reason.
Yeah.
এখন আপনি যেটা কোয়েশ্চেন করলেন যে abuse outside for children. Abuse outside for children is in many different ways. আপনি I'll start with schools. Being bullied. আমরা যে বুলি করা এবং kind of body shaming, আপনার financial issue নিয়ে খোঁচা দেওয়া এবং number one. Number two, there are many incidents of teachers abusing verbally and physically both male and female children who are going to school. That's the second part, abuse. Third part হচ্ছে যেটা একটা আমাদের আসলে is a big মানে I think that's the biggest social curse that I would like to spend my rest of my life on, is the child labor. And when a children goes to work at an age that when he or she is not supposed to go to work, at that place different kind of things happen, and mainly ওই জায়গাটায় যে ধরনের physical abuse and shock that they get, that's a big so external abuse comes mostly from, interestingly, mostly from close circle.
Yeah. Sir, child abuser পার্টটা তা আমাদের মতো থার্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রি যারা তাদের জন্য, বাট ইভেন ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড কান্ট্রিতেও এই জিনিসটা child taking this step is still common.
Yeah.
So ওদের প্রবলেমগুলো, আমি একটা এই পয়েন্টটা সোশ্যাল পয়েন্টটা একটা জিনিস বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম. Again, I was talking to one of my friend and ও বললো যে ইটস ট্রু, আপনার ছেলেকে যখন ছেলে মেয়ে আমাদের যখন জিজ্ঞেস করবেন 12 এই বছরে, যে আমাদের কমন রেসপন্স হলো তুমি জানো না আমি হোয়াট আই ওয়েন্ট থ্রু. দিস ইজ এ কমন রেসপন্স ফ্রম প্যারেন্টস. যে বাট আমাকে যখন 12 বছর এরকম ছিল, আমাকে কেউ কোশ্চেন করলে আমি লজ্জা পেতাম. Now you see a 12-year-old, he can speak on a topic and you let him speak, he can. So আমরাও কিন্তু অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওই 12 বছরের কানেকশনটা কিন্তু আমরা করতে পারছি না. আমরা বলছি যে তোমার কি কষ্ট, তুমি তো বুঝবা না আমি what I went through. Maybe he's also going through a different they have so much information তাদের ডিসপোজালে. সো আমরা কিন্তু ওখানে বুঝতে পারছি না. এই জন্য আই থিঙ্ক এখানেও কিন্তু একটা গ্যাপ আছে প্যারেন্টিংয়ে.
হ্যাঁ, না এখন প্যারেন্টিংয়ের ইস্যুতে গেলে আপনি, সো ইউ টকড অ্যাবাউট সোশ্যাল পার্ট, বাট প্যারেন্টিংয়ে গেলে আই ক্যান হ্যাভ আ হোল লট অফ ডিসকাশন, বিকজ ইউ হ্যাভ টু, দিজ আর লাইক ব্রড কজ, বাট যদি আপনি আন্ডারলাইন কজগুলো দেখেন, প্রত্যেকটা তো আসলে দেয়ার ইজ আ আন্ডারলাইন কজ দ্যাট ক্রিয়েটস আ বিগ কজ. আই থিঙ্ক ডেফিনেটলি প্যারেন্টিং ইজ দ্য বিগেস্ট কজ. বাট আপনি যেটা বলেন যে আমি একটু ব্রডলি যদি বলি, জেনারেলাইজেশন অফ we are different generations. এটা সেদিনকে কথা বলছিলাম আমি. So this is scientifically proven that the way millennials think, we are like generation X, the way we think, and the ages we said to commit করছে যে 10 to 19, they're generation Z. They're not the same generation. We are not the same generation. আমাদের জন্য for us, generation X, যাদের ছেলেমেয়েরা এখন 10 to 19, those who are parents, for us the biggest thing was answer to the question why. So we will always why. So কেউ কোথাও যাবে, so we used to ask that question why a lot. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? For them, the Gen Z, their idea of self-independence is very high. I want to be independent, but they don't think about the why often. They do things and they try to experience things. এখন parenting এ যে জায়গাটা we are making mistakes is basically we are carrying forward a parenting that was passed on to us from our previous generation, the way our parents taught us, and then we are trying to do that. This is not going to work out. This is not going to work out in the sense that, আমি একটা কথা খুব ইদানিং বলি, and I said it in another place, just because I've given birth to somebody biologically, that is not my entitlement to parenting. Parenting is not an entitlement, as much as I tell my children that my relationship being my children is not your entitlement just because you come biologically through me. It is a lot of responsibility. Parenting is something that you need to learn. So এই যে রেসপন্সটা যেটা বললেন আপনি, যে প্যারেন্টসরা যদি মনে করে থাকে যে দুইটা জিনিস, এক হচ্ছে ইটস মাই এন্টাইটেলমেন্ট just because I gave birth him biologically, so I'm entitled. Number one, I can buy parenting by money. So you know what I'm getting into. So আমি সময় দিতে পারছি না, আমি কোশ্চেন করতে পারছি না, but I'm giving them everything that they need. হ্যাঁ, আপনার মনে হচ্ছে আমি তোমাকে তো কিছু না দিয়ে রাখি না, হ্যাঁ, so
Yeah.
I'm buying you the best of the cell phones, I'm buying you the best of the gadgets. What's your problem? হ্যাঁ, তোমার আমার লাইফে তোমার এগুলো কি ছিল তুমি জানো, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
Yeah.
কিন্তু you can't buy parenting with money. হ্যাঁ, you are actually the time that we used to get, the time that you're supposed to give to your children. If you think that the money and your gadgets and your is going to substitute, no, it's not going to substitute it. Because I always tell, give your children stories to share. আমি আমার ছেলে মেয়েকে যেটা করি, চেষ্টা বলি সবসময় যে I would like to leave you with stories, not with assets or properties or any gadget. Because আপনি think about a situation. So there's two kids meeting. একজন হয়তো probably come from a little bit underprivileged financial, and আরেকজন অনেক and that person has all the gadgets and everything. So they sit together in a friends gathering. কিন্তু যে ছেলেটা হয়তো কিছুই নাই, কিন্তু he has lot of stories to share. যে বাবা কালকে আমাকে ওখানে নিয়ে গেছে, হ্যাঁ, আমরা হেঁটে হেঁটে সদরঘাট দিয়ে গেছি, নিউ মার্কেটে আমরা ঘুরে বেড়াইছি, he took me to, he's being able to tell the stories, and that guy, the other person sitting there and thinking that, so I have everything, I have the best phone, I have the best, আমি গাড়ি করে এসেছি, but I don't have stories to share. And I always tell the parents these days that, for God's sake, give them stories so that they can stand in a podium, they can stand in a dais, they can live with stories. Give them experience. Not, you can't buy parenthood with money. And that's becoming a very big thing. And আপনি এই যে যদি রিজনগুলো দেখেন 10 to 19 and এখানেও যেটা লেখা আছে রিপোর্টে, they're saying depression. Depression is one. Now, depression যদি আপনি খুব সিম্পলি মানে define করেন, depression is the inability to experience something new. So when you are not experiencing new things, that's when you're getting depressed. So you're having everything, you're flooded with money, but in the same old house you're coming, and
there's a monotonous cycle.
Yes, monotony. When you are not experiencing anything new, that's when the depression comes. Depression is only example, but scientific example পাবেন আপনি. But the easiest example of depression that I was taught is when you're not experiencing anything new in their life, that's when the depression chips in. So
apart from abuse and stuff, in general,
হ্যাঁ, এখন positive experience, challenging experience, all this. So যদি আপনি social side বলেন, abuse is one, of course, and abuse at different levels, verbal levels and everything. And এক number, দুই number হচ্ছে যে parenting, the way we do parenting. তিন number হচ্ছে the schooling. এই তিনটা I think is an intrinsic cause of this thing going on, and that's my understanding of society, and that's what I'm talking about. The scientific, but আমার মনে হয় না scientifically it's going to be very different. But parenting is a big issue that needs to be talked about. The way we are parenting these days is not working.
Schooling যেহেতু বললাম, schooling, and we are আমরা university, so we don't know how can we help, যেহেতু education আছে, how can we help schooling level or even parenting level to I think এখনো it's difficult to make actually parents understand. আপনি যেটা বললেন মন মানসিকতা আপনাদের, এটাও বোঝানো খুব difficult হয়ে যাচ্ছে to the parents that they need to be better parents.
Yeah, I mean মানে they need not মানে এটা একটা basically we need to take a movement, and I wish I could do this, but it's a very complicated issue, and there was who are you to talk about. But biggest thing I always say, parenting is not an entitlement. You have to earn and learn it. You have to learn and earn it, or whatever way you say that. You have to get that entitlement to parenthood. I know parenting. I know that person. I can communicate. I know what they need. I understand parenting in general, because it's a growing process. The way you parented a person of like a 2-year-old boy, and then the way you parented 19-year-old boy is not the same, and a girl, same. So you have to understand that person's biological, psychological maturity and growth. So physical as well. So there are times the kids are very touchy-feely. There are times that you need to give them space. এই জিনিসটা যদি basically parenting without head intelligence will not work anymore, and they need to understand that. এবং এটা সুইসাইড তো একটা ধরনের, সবাই সুইসাইড কমিট করেন, এবং এখানে একটা জিনিস বলে রাখি সেটা হচ্ছে যে you'll see among the girls that teenager মধ্যে, the tendency to talk about suicide will be very common, and they will talk about suicide a lot. But if you look at the statistics, it's the boys that are committing more suicide. Even in the 46,000, the number are much more higher in terms of boys. Now, again, why is it happening? Because for girls, ওদেরকে বলা আছে না ঠিক আছে যে মানে ওইভাবে গ্রুম করা হয় যে it's okay to cry and this and that and this and
boys can't do that.
boys can do that. You're teaching the kids, your son, that no, you have to be strong, but you are not showing the way you have to be strong. So interestingly, the suicidal rate are much higher. It's 46,000 numbers in mode are much higher in terms of the boys, because again, parenting problem. Because you are parenting, you have to be tough, you have to be, why? And that actually কিন্তু পরে যদি suicide now করে, he is growing up with a toxic masculinity. And that's actually creating the violent attitude and abuse. পরে যে he then starts abusing, it is actually the result of that, the way we're dealing with it.
Interesting kind of information if you look into this article. This between this age estimated to be living with a diagnosed mental disorder globally, and here they're saying out of every 7, 1% is like that. So from a parent's point of view, how do you even identify your problem হচ্ছে এটা? Is this communication gap আমাদের এখানে কি আমাদের আরো communication নিয়ে আসতে হবে? How do we আমার কথা হলো, I want to save one person. If we are to save one person, what is that tip যে আমি কিভাবে আইডেন্টিফাই করব? কারণ ও তো কথা বলবে না, আমরা বলে রাখছি যে just what you said, boys তোমার তুচ্ছ একটা জিনিস আমাদের কাছে হতে পারে, you can't talk about it because you're a boy and you're growing up. How do we save that person? How do we save that one child?
Mindfulness, আমি যেটা সবসময় বলি যে if you are mindful, আপনি বাসায় থাকছেন, and I do work from home, and a lot of people say that I like 18 hours a day, but my eyes and ears are open. I need to, আমি যতটুকু টাইমই দেখি না কেন, if I observe my children, and if I observe, আমি 10 সেকেন্ডও যদি দেখি, but if my mind and heart and everything is just looking at that person, আপনি as a parent you can never miss the indicator. মানে যে সে যে তার ফেশিয়াল এক্সপ্রেশন আজকে একটু ডিফারেন্ট, এটা আপনি কোনোভাবে মিস করতে পারার কথা না। মানে হাউ ডু ইউ মিস অ্যাজ আ প্যারেন্ট দ্যাট your son is having or a daughter is having a different expression today, which is not his or her usual
because
expression.
He had a bad day at school.
He has a bad day. You need to go and ask, and he needs to feel that ঠিক আছে আমি বলতে না চাইলেও there's somebody in the family that who observes that I'm feeling different. He feels valued, she feels valued, and maybe who knows, he might come and talk. And I have seen it in many cases. So one of the things that I always say that এই যে দেখেন মানে we let children close their door at a pretty early age. এখন আমাদের সময় it was, and I mean I'm not taking the yes, they need space. They need space after like a certain age, 12, they need space. Knock before you enter. See if he's in his time, but আপনাকে তো এটা বুঝতে হবে যে কখন টাইম দরকার, কখন টাইম দরকার না। কিন্তু ওই যে বললাম যে আমি আপনাকে যেটা বলছেন যে আমি বললাম যে কিভাবে বুঝবো এখন যে মেন্টাল ডিসঅর্ডার যে আমার ছেলে ডেভেলপ হচ্ছে বা মেয়ের ডেভেলপ হচ্ছে, এটা কিভাবে বুঝবো? বাই অবজার্ভিং, বাই কন্টিনিউয়াসলি অবজার্ভিং। আপনি যদি একটা বাবা, যদি একটা প্রত্যেকটা মামা যদি আপনি রিয়েলি লুকিং এট ইউর চাইল্ড উইথ অ্যাটেনশন, ইন্টেলিজেন্স অ্যান্ড এমপ্যাথি, হ্যাঁ, যে আপনার তিনটে জিনিস থাকতে হবে। You're giving him 100% attention. You're looking at him, but in 10 seconds, you're looking at him with full attention. You're not thinking about, so what's going on in my social media or who's waiting for me outside. But you're looking at him, right? Really looking at him or her. And then you're using your intelligence. So like, what's different? Is she looking overjoyous than yesterday? Or he's looking a little bit sad? And then having that empathy. So what's going on, even if he's happy. So when I see my children happy, I try to identify it. So like I go and say, like, so what's exciting today? So you're like giggling too much, but ask those questions, okay, basically. When otherwise
simple communication might help that child.
এবার আপনি তো communication, you teach communications, and you know communication is not about verbal. Yeah, you just look,
body language,
a pat on the back. I don't see মানে আমি I don't know মানে ওয়েব টু মাচও দেখি, কিন্তু একটা যে প্যাট অন দ্য ব্যাক or just rubbing his head যে না মানে I'm there. সবসময় যে আপনার ভার্বাল কথা বলতে হবে তো তা না। So when I pass my son and আমি জাস্ট মাথা যদি একটু হাত থাকবে I'm there.
He's
আপনি
there.
পাস করে চলে যান। হ্যাঁ, আপনি কথা বলার দরকার নেই। So you just rub and just pass on. And then he will feel that touch will give him that is not like, okay,
I'm protected.
I'm protected.
How do we create this awareness? So kichuta reason we could identify it's about parenting, it's about the social aspects, it's about abuse and economic we talked about. But আমরা তাহলে আমাদের পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ আমাদের সোসাইটির পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ থেকে পার্সোনাল পয়েন্ট ভিউ থেকে what can we do to create this awareness and help them at least to raise a voice?
আচ্ছা, reason মানে there are two things that I must tell you, Asif bhai here. One is যে এক আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা হচ্ছে যে isolation. হ্যাঁ, মানে I know on the name of giving them time and everything, we are leaving those kids isolated for way too long. হ্যাঁ, so isolationটা we cannot allow that. Isolation একটা লিমিট আছে, হ্যাঁ, যে না ঠিক আছে, মানে isolation বলতে হচ্ছে যে বাচ্চাগুলো একা থাকছে, হ্যাঁ, মানে you are leaving the kids at home alone, হ্যাঁ, but মানে এই যে একলা রেখে যাওয়ার যে একটা টেন্ডেন্সি, হ্যাঁ, এবং kids of course at a certain point of time they start enjoying it. আপনি তো তখন isolation, হ্যাঁ, they feel like an adult, I can take care of. Isolation is a disaster. হ্যাঁ, মানে আপনি কার রিজনের মধ্যে আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা হচ্ছে যে isolation is a big thing. আমি জাস্ট একটু রিজনটাই করে যে isolation is a big point. So don't keep them isolated, because when I grew up I had like 32 pairs of eyes looking at me. I had the whole community looking at me. আমি যদি মানে if I was hanging out with my friends in a different road smoking cigarette, and my brother's friend would have said that, he would call my brother and say that he's not feeling comfortable, could you just take it away?
But sir, আমি যদি একটা কাউন্টার এটা যদি বলেন, অনেকে বলে এখন it's so fast moving, both parents are working, we are living separate, তাদের if they countered this, what's our
oh no, I think even if you're working and both parents are working, two things. আমি বারবার বলছি যে quality time and quality attention, 10 seconds is enough. হ্যাঁ, when you are giving me a quality time and quality, আমার জন্য 10 সেকেন্ডের quality attention is good enough. You don't have to be for me there, number one. Number two, there are many ways to keep a tab. হ্যাঁ, call, how many times you call your children? Are you calling them in critical time? Do you understand your children's critical time, critical moments when he goes through the cycle of depressions? Or একটা বাচ্চা কিভাবে, are you calling him in the right moment? হ্যাঁ, আপনি যে সময় ফোন করছেন তখন হয়তো আপনার সাথে কথা বলতে ইচ্ছা করছেন, তখন আপনি বলবেন হয়তো ফোন করলে কথা বলতে চায় না, না, because you're calling him at the wrong time. And you don't understand his thing. So এখন অ্যাওয়ারনেসের ব্যাপারে যেটা বললেন যে awareness has to be in the community level. You know, it goes back to this whole the African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. So, and we don't have the village now, but there are ways that we can do that. Are we দুই তিনটা জিনিস বলবো আমি এটা প্রিভেনশন। একটা হচ্ছে যে প্লিজ don't decide everything for your children. আমরা যেটা করছি যে না, সো কোন স্কুলে যাবে, কার সাথে মিশবে, কার বাসায় যাবে, কোন টাইপের ফ্রেন্ড হবে তার, হ্যাঁ, তুমি ওর সাথে, don't do that. No one did that for us. এক নম্বর যে এটাতে হয় কি, মানে আপনি ইউ আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওকে ও কোন বাচ্চার সাথে মিশবে এটাও যখন আপনি ডিটারমাইন করে দেন, again he is not experiencing new things, and new things যখন একই টাইপের যদি ছেলেমেয়ের সাথে মিশতে থাকে, he's bound to get depressed. মানে ওর তো লাইফে কোনো এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আসছে না। Let him decide যে I mix and I then decide that whether it works for me or not, that friend works for me or not. You are taking away his decision making ability. You are giving him a same sort of experience. So যে জায়গাগুলোতে ডিসিশন নেওয়ার কথা আমাদের প্যারেন্ট হিসেবে, সেখানে নিয়ে উই আর টু মাইক্রো ম্যানেজিং অ্যান্ড ডিসাইডিং দেম অন দ্য লাইফ উইচ ইজ নট হেল্পিং দেম, নাম্বার ওয়ান। এখন অ্যাওয়ারনেসের ব্যাপারে যেটা হচ্ছে, অ্যাওয়ারনেসটা তো আপনার ফ্যামিলি লেভেল, আই ডোন্ট নো হাউ টু ডু দ্যাট, মেবি হিউজ, যেহেতু বাবা মারা সবসময় সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতেই থাকে, সো লেটস ডু ইট অন সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া অ্যান্ড রিয়েলি হিট দেম উইথ দ্য থিংস দ্যাট ইটস নট ইউর মানে প্যারেন্টহুড ইজ নট ইউর এন্টাইটেলমেন্ট, নাম্বার ওয়ান। স্কুল লেভেলে বুলিংটা বন্ধ করতেই হবে আর কি, বেসিক্যালি। সো এনি কাইন্ড অফ বুলিং হ্যাজ টু স্টপ, অ্যান্ড বুলিং ইজ আ প্রিকারসার টু লট অফ আদার অ্যাক্টিভিটি। হ্যাঁ, যে মানে আপনার হয় সে নিজে হার্মফুল কিছু করবে, অথবা হি উইল ট্রাই টু হার্ম আদার্স, অর হি উইল লার্ন বুলিং। সোসাইটিতে বুলিংটা এমন একটা প্রিডোমিনেন্ট একটা স্টেজ নিয়ে ফেলছে, দ্যাট হ্যাজ টু স্টপ অ্যাওয়ারনেস লেভেলে। অ্যান্ড দেন রিয়েলি টিচার্স যারা আছে, যারা বাচ্চাদেরকে স্কুল লেভেল থেকে করে 10 to 19, they need to understand and they need to be trained and they need to be aware of these issues. হ্যাঁ, মানে তাদের সাথে যদি এ করে, and even within the youth, কিছু তো যেমন এরকম ডিপ্রেসড আছে, but there are very vibrant positive youths যারা এই 10 to 19 মধ্যে আমি অনেক বাচ্চা ছেলে মেয়ে দেখি যারা they can actually teach us. So এদেরকে how do we utilize them and make them an agent of change, so
Yeah.
they are trained and they are aware and they can speak up on behalf of them. আর lastly যেটা, as my point of view is creating the support system. So এখন Gen Z কিন্তু যেটা হবে, Gen Z will talk about their mental health needs, যেটা আমার আপনার ছিল না. We were shy about talking about mental health. যে আমার depressed লাগতো, I don't even can't think about it telling to my mother.
No,
And
I don't think we even had the right to talk about
anything
mental health ওই বয়সে।
oh my god,
মেন্টাল মানে বাচ্চাদের মেন্টাল
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, মানে আপনি ডিপ্রেস, আপনি মেন্টাল, এটা তো মানে লজ্জার একটা ব্যাপার হয়ে যেত আর কি বেসিক্যালি, এবং মানে সো and there is a big hush hush about it. এখন যেটা হচ্ছে, we are like, there is a huge excitement around it and I love that. একটা সাপোর্ট সিস্টেম you can access and this and that, but আমার এখানে একটা reservation আছে, and I'm involved with a lot of mental health institute and I'm sure they'll not be happy about it, I'm saying this. You know, that's a prevention. So আমি অসুস্থ হলে রুগীকে হসপিটালে নিয়ে যাবো, then that's very natural. So I'm creating the support system, the hospitals. But আমার কিন্তু it's also my duty to increase a person's resilience যাতে সে অসুস্থ না হয়। মানে so we আমরা বাচ্চাদেরকে বলতাম আগে যে এক্সারসাইজ করো, রোদে যাও, ভিটামিন খাও, হ্যাঁ ভালো খাও। Similarly, we need to increase the resilience among our kids. হ্যাঁ, যে তাদেরও থ্রেশহোল্ড লিমিটটা বাড়াইতে হবে, যে you should, life will never be simple, life will never be stressless, nobody committed you a bed of roses, you just have to understand and fail and stand up, and এই রেজিলিয়েন্সটা না বাড়ালে, হ্যাঁ আপনি কোটি কোটি বাচ্চা, এখন কয়টা বাচ্চার এক্সেস আছে মেন্টাল হেলথ সাপোর্ট সার্ভিসে, তো আমি যদি আর্লিয়েস্ট রেজিলিয়েন্সটা না বাড়াই, ইটস ওকে টু ফেল, ইটস ওকে টু মেস আপ, ইউ স্ট্যান্ড আপ, গেট আপ এগেইন অ্যান্ড জাস্ট রান। আমরা পড়ে গেছি কিন্তু মানে হাতে পাটা ছিলে গেছে, বাবাকে এসে বাট রেজিলিয়েন্সের থ্রেশহোল্ডটা বাড়াইতে হবে, আদারওয়াইজ যদি আপনি এত অল্পতে সবাইকে অসুস্থ লেভেল করে ফেলে ডাক্তারের কাছে নিয়ে দৌড়াদৌড়ি করেন, তাহলে তো এটা মানে মেন্টাল হেলথ সাপোর্ট সিস্টেম উইল কোল্যাপস, বিকজ হাউ মেনি দে উইল সাপোর্ট। সো দ্যাট দ্য কিডস নিডস টু হ্যাভ দেয়ার ওন রেজিলিয়েন্স সিস্টেম, যে না আই ক্যান ডিল উইথ ইট মাই সেলফ টু আ পয়েন্ট, বাট সেটাও ওকে বুঝতে হবে যে কোনটা what is the point that I need to go to a doctor and tell my parents, and what is the point I need to take care of myself. So that's a big thing.
Right.
And I think that coping up is a big thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
Last point on this, মানে এই সোশ্যাল একটা হলো পয়েন্টস ফর আইডেন্টিফাইং, আর নেক্সট যেটা অনেকে আইডেন্টিফাই করতে পারে প্যারেন্টস, but because this whole concept, এমনি mental health, everybody takes it as a negative. It's not a negative, it's a positive. এই যে স্টিগমা, so at times parents কিন্তু হেল্প করতে পারে না, maybe they need to reach a counselor, maybe a doctor, but এই যে স্টিগমাটা আছে যে if you take your son, they'll be like, oh, he is not okay. এই স্টিগমা, and just one point যে এখানে how to bring a change into the, or maybe one pointer যে it's okay to take him.
Yeah, and
Sorry to cut you.
No, sorry. So what I'm thinking about is basically it is not okay only, it is right. মানে you have to understand, মানে it's not only okay, মানে mental well-being is someone's human right,
Exactly.
and as long as that person is living with you till 18, তাকে ডাক্তারের কাছে, যেমন আপনি মানে একটা জ্বর হলে ডাক্তারের কাছে নিয়ে যান, তার যদি if you think it is his right, and it's not only okay, you have to that's showing respect to that person, that child, that you are respectful to his biological and need. এবং so that's I think এটা যদি ইন্টারেস্টিং, আসিফ ভাই, এই জায়গাটা কিন্তু আমি দেখি যে ইভেন ইনফ্যাক্ট দ্য লোয়ার ইনকাম পপুলেশনের মধ্যে যে চেঞ্জটা আসছে, সামহাউ মানে আমাদের মিডল ইনকাম, হাই মিডল ইনকামের যে এদের প্যারেন্টস, আই থিঙ্ক ইটস আ ফিয়ার দ্যাট দে নিড টু ডিল উইথ দেমসেলভস. So the parents need to understand that there's nothing to it. Yeah, it's a fear that they need to deal with themselves. It's not the children's problem, it's their problem. যে I see RMG worker একটা mental health program চলছিল, ওরা the way they're open about these things, because they talk about it. I don't know what's the big hush in the middle income and higher middle income
The
group.
pride, the toxic masculinity. আমার ছেলে একটু weak, এটা বলতে
Exactly.
পারবে না।
Exactly. Why would you say that? Why would you do that? And but then increases resilience level. Then increases resilience level. Last thing is খুব important. I thought I should raise that point. একটা দেখি যে খুব ইদানিং বলছে যে oh okay they're doing it for attention. Yes, they're doing it for attention. Or they're attempting suicide. Attention. Why didn't you give them attention? Why do you need to take away their life to get the attention? তার মানে হচ্ছে they didn't get enough attention to what they were trying to say.
Yeah.
আমি অনেককেই বলতে দেখি যে also they're doing it for attention. I'm so sorry. What kind of attention are you talking about? তার মানে কি, তার মানে তার proper attentionটা পাইনি বললেই তো সেই attention করছে. So he wanted to make a point that he didn't listen to. And then he's trying to do this. You know what, ওই যেটা বললাম যে আপনি watch and listen, আমাকে একটা কথাই বলবো যে watch and listen. That's the only thing.
Communicate, watch, listen and
communicate. And please use your intelligence. বুদ্ধিটা খাটান একটু, এছাড়া কিছু বলার নেই.
Okay, let's wrap up with last two. আপনার vision নিয়ে আমি কথা বলতে চাই. What's your vision looking ahead in 10 years time?
Vision is first of all vision.
Who do you want to work with? Because you have already done so much in industry.
I've done so many diversified things. What I'm trying to do now is that we are all have their own health issues and others. So my broad vision যদি বলেন যে এখন the only thing that I think about every day is that I was telling you the other day that I would like to leave the world a bit better than I have found it. আমি যেভাবে I was handed it over the world, and I practice these days. I'm trying to find gratitude a lot. I think gratitude is a mother of all qualities. So I try to find out what's going right in my life rather than what's going wrong in my life. So my vision is basically, I think I'm extremely privileged, and a privilegeটাকে use করে I would like to leave the world a bit better place, and আমি জানি না কিভাবে. So that's my vision. In terms of what I would like to do, আমি একটা জিনিস I've decided the remaining part of life, and as much as I
wanted to ask you that question. So what is the purpose of your life? So you can answer it in one.
Yeah. So I think the purpose of life, overall purpose of life at this point of time is to, ওই যেটা আমি আপনাকে বললাম যে I would really want to leave the world a bit better place than I found it. The way I'm going to do it, I had many ways I was thinking about doing it, many ways. But দুইটা জায়গা আসলে I really would like to. আমার জিনিসটা I'm not very conflict prone person. আমার কাছে humility and humbleness is a very big quality. Exactly. I think conversation is a part of the civilization. Conversation the world সব problem solve করা যায়. এই যে aggressiveness, bullying, এই জায়গাটা নিয়ে কাজ করতেছি আমি একটা. আর দুই নম্বর যে জায়গাটা সেটা হচ্ছে যে I would like to spend rest of my life, whatever time that are remaining, to work in the age group of দুইটা ভাগে যদি ভাগ করি. One is 10 to 14 and 14 to 18. My primary target is to 10 to 14, and then 14 to 18, which is kind of surprising because I teach students of 25 and above. The reason I'm saying this is I'm finding it more and more difficult to change mindset. When somebody land on my desk at the age of 25 or 18, I think it's much easier to change the things at the 10 to 14. And so what do I like to work with?
The foundation level. And foundation level তো সব কিছু নিয়ে কাজ করা যাবে না. Only thing is teaching them self-care. That the kids is to understand that self-love and self-care is basically the most important thing, which I missed in my life. I was never taught. এবং যেটা আমাকে এখনো হর্ন করে যায়. I probably don't know how to self-love a lot. So I would like to teach them self-love. What are the elements of self-love? আমি যে আমার টাকা, personal financial management, আমার গোসল শাওয়ারটা ঠিক মতো নেওয়া, and grooming, these are all part of self-love. আমার alone time. I would like to teach them self-love for the rest of my life. Is that connected to mental health as well?
Yeah, because আপনি self love না দিলে যে ছেলেটা টাকা ম্যানেজ করতে পারে, যে ছেলেটা know that I need to be taking shower, I need to stay healthy, taking care of your personal health, personal finance, taking care of your personal time. So self care, so I was reading that. So মাঝে মাঝে যে এই যে নিজে একলা বাইর হয়ে যাওয়া, এদের যে একটা ডিপেন্ডেন্সি অন companionship, এটা আমি কাটাইতে চাই। And that there are times that you hang around with friends, but there are times it's okay to walk around the lake alone, by yourself. And no one told us that. I want to teach them self love.
একা রেস্টুরেন্টে খেলে, oh, why are you eating alone?
Yeah.
Again.
Alone, being alone is beauty. Yeah, loneliness is a problem, but alone is a beauty. I would like, so simply.
It reminded me one quote from Charles Bukowski. She said, isolation is the gift.
Yeah.
Isolation
Exactly.
is the gift.
Exactly.
Well,
self love. Yeah. So I want to teach self love to them for the rest of the life.
Brilliant. And I think on that note, we'll end the podcast. But people who want to reach you, people who want to talk to you, Asif sir, he's got a website. It's called Asifuddin.
Yeah, asifahmed.com.
I'll provide the link in the description. Echara, where can they reach you if they want to find you?
I think the mail is the best way.
Okay, so I'll put down the email in the description as well.
Send me an email, and hopefully, I'm trying to reduce my time on other thing, but because so that's the email.
I'll put the link below the email. He's one of those guys who is extremely humble and extremely helpful. So if anyone who wants to reach out with a problem, and for any kid who's watching it, just our message now it's a social media, so just say that you're not fine on your social page. Someone will find you. It's okay to say you're not fine.
Yes.
Okay, on that note,
thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you
again for coming and making time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.